Greetings, programs. My name is Wretch, and I'd like to welcome you to Vampire the Masquerade Reckoning of New York. We are once again returning to the world of darkness, guys, after a long absence, but I'm really excited about this because this is the third edition of the New York storyline in these interactive fiction games, and we played Coteries of New York and Shadows of New York so long ago, but apparently all of those stories are going to converge here in the final edition, I believe. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited. Let's go ahead and get a new game going. Now, we have the ability to choose two characters. One of them is locked, though, until we complete this first story, the story of Kali, who's a member of the Ravnos. My sire's gone AWOL, and I've got no clue why. It sucks, but hey, I'm a raven. When things get dicey, I go with my gut. And right now it's telling me to just keep searching. It hasn't let me down so far, and it won't start now. Right? So, we've got our disciplines here, and this is very interesting to me. I played a little bit just to see that the sound and everything was working. But we have the ability between choosing the three Ravnos disciplines, which is Animalism, Obfuscate, and Presence. Now, I'm more familiar with 3rd edition Vampire the Masquerade, and back then the Ravnos clan had Animalism, Fortitude, which allowed them to soak damage, and their own unique discipline called Chemistry, which was the ability to create illusions. Now, I believe there is a power here in either Obfuscate or Presence called Chemistry. Kind of like what they did with the Malkavians and Demontation. They made that a power of, I believe, Dominate. But, yeah, so we've got Animalism allows Kindred to communicate with, control, or feed more efficiently on animals. Obfuscate allows Kindred to hide easily, move without being noticed, and divert the eyes of observers. And then Presence is the Kindred ability to influence emotions in others, to attract or to terrify. So Obfuscate and Presence kind of does what Chemistry would do back in the day. I've never really used Animalism in VTM, so let's go ahead and go with Obfuscate and Presence. We have 2 available points to throw in. So a 1 in Animalism, a 2 in Obfuscate, and a 2 in Presence is pretty good for a starting character. Let's submit. Hunger. Struggle against your inner beast by adding risk management to disciplines. Yes, please. And the hunters are watching your every move. Play it safe or risk getting ambushed on detours. Gotta have a little danger, right? Night 1, the beginning. Already having to roll Roshrek. So, did this happen in the past, or is this a sign of things to come? I guess we'll see. It's really cool coming back to this. December 2024, 7 nights till New Year. Brooklyn, no country for odd kin, night 1. D'Angelo's bureau, if you can even call it that, feels more like a rough draft of an asteroid belt. Suggesting it's shabby almost gives it too much credit, as if there's some hidden allure to the mess, which there definitely isn't. His head is cocked thoughtfully, beady eyes piercing me right through. Does his acute interest stem from the matter I brought in, or does he simply enjoy watching me wriggling in this wretched chair? Ooh, I like that chair. I'd ask, but underneath the repulsive mask of his face, I notice something that looks a lot like fear. A detail I pocket for later. A strong synthetic odor taints the still air. The world is moving forward, but this crap reeks worse than your average smoke. And the way he squashes those mini cigs in the ashtray, it's clear D'Angelo's struggling to shake off old habits. Not that I'm one to throw stones, but he's quite the character. Useful, but infuriating too, at times. Like right now, for example. So let me just get this straight. You lost your sire, eh? Sire, a vampire's begetter, the kindred who brought them into undead existence. Patience, Kali. No, I didn't lose him. He just chose to be a no-show. Which doesn't happen all that often, I take it. Not without telling me it doesn't. Reynard Castle has a knack for vanishing, though. Maybe he had to make himself scarce. Skip town. He'd left me a clue, for sure. You still relying on those wall tags? The hobo code or whatnot? Cryptolect. A specific cipher unique to each Ravnos band that lets them communicate in code. Kali's coterie employs a modified hobo code, distinguished by the addition of 3 lines over a dot, allowing only those in the know to understand the message behind the altered symbols. Little Chandler here has totally been killing it lately. I mean, I might have casually mentioned the code once or twice, but nothing major. Well, alright, maybe I showed him a symbol, one that's pretty much useless on its own. If Reynard catches wind of me spilling the beans, he's gonna flip. He's like Fort Knox when it comes to our secrets. We do, and I found absolutely zilch, which doesn't happen, by the way. We never bail on each other when we split up for stuff like this. It's just too dangerous. Maybe he didn't have a chance to leave a trail. Where were you two supposed to rendezvous? Yeah, why is he snooping around so much? Feels like I'm on trial here. You literally asked me to conduct this investigation. What do you expect me to do, pull an answer out of my ass? I really don't want to know what he could pull out of his ass, and I intend to tell him as much, but he speaks first. Besides, I already know your spot. Coney Island, right? I feel my eyelid twitch. You're bluffing. Yeah, I was, but your reaction spilled the whole story. Maybe dropping by D'Angelo's wasn't such a great plan. Or maybe he's not as useless as I assumed, but he's definitely got me on edge. I shoot him a skeptical glance, but he appears to be elsewhere, like lost in his own thoughts. His lips move silently, almost like he's whispering a prayer. Prick your ears? I strain my ears and finally catch a few words. When a damsel in distress entered his dimly lit office, lost in the urban jungle and with nowhere to go, she turned to the only person she could trust, Detective Extraordinaire Gianni D'Angelo. But neither of them foresaw the storm brewing, ready to shake their world to its core. I'll skip over your noir wet dreams, but what's the deal with the storm? Don't you worry about it. The way he says it really makes me worry about it, but I brush it off. So you made your way to Coney Island, but came up empty-handed. No castle, no trail to follow. Anything noteworthy at all? Just your typical shady assholes loitering around, clearly up to something. Pretty standard for New York City as far as I'm aware. Yeah, shady assholes, like who? Kindred? A term used by the Camarilla, or Camarilla, to refer to a single vampire or the entire vampire community. The term lick is used by the Anarchs in a similar manner. Regular folks, I think, all twitchy and restless. He furrows his brow, nodding slowly, but seems more in mourning than in deep thought. When he finally speaks, it's not at all what I was expecting to hear. To be frank, Kali, I'm running short on answers. Your sire seems just temporarily unavailable. Or gone for good. Or something else. I can't say I'm entirely shocked. He tries to stroll around nonchalantly, but the mess in his bureau just as nonchalantly throws him off balance. It completely ruins his noir vibe, so I shoot him a cheeky grin, but he's too caught up to even notice. Breaking character must have rattled him good. If I were you, I'd take a leaf out of his book and disappear. Pronto. In fact, that's exactly what I intend to do once I'm through with my business in the city. I unpocket the fear I observed a moment ago and give D'Angelo another good, lasting look. He's genuinely terrified, like seriously scared. But there's this hint of desperation, too. I've got to tame my inner con artist. She's practically salivating in my head, just waiting to join in. But when things go south, D'Angelo's the buddy you stick with, not somebody you ditch and forget. Gianni, seriously, what's up? I'm kind of freaking out here. There were too many loose ends to stitch together a complete tale, and frankly, it's too lengthy for just one night anyway. But there's a storm gathering in the city. I've been through some rough patches, but this feels like a whole different kind of trouble. Cut the cryptic shit, just for once. He looks over my shoulder, lost in thought, like he's figuring out how to drop an anchor on something, or on someone who's already drowning. A kind that's been dropping like flies lately. Nobody seems to be a specific target, but it's hitting mostly Duskborn. Neither holy vampire nor mortal, the ever-changing nature of the Duskborn evokes pity, jealousy, and fear in equal measure. Considered little more than trash by most vampires, the Thin Bloods are banding together, leveraging their resistance to sunlight and the strange, mercurial adaptability of their powers against their oppressors. Monikers, Duskborn, Mercurians, the Young Ones, Runoff, Chameleons, and Abortions. The court dubs it the culling of Thin Bloods. Real knee slapper they've got, those sons of guns. Social system of a city's Camarilla kindred, resembling the feudal system of mortals. At the top is the prince. Below them, the members of the Primogen Council. Order in the domain is maintained by a sheriff. The gatherings are organized in secret sanctuaries known as Elysiums. And there's also brute squads led by the Scourge. But there's been other victims, too. A chill runs down my dead spine. Here's the sad reality. New York City has never been as dangerous for kindred as it is these nights. Infighting or an external threat? Are the sects seriously at each other's throats that hard? Same old song and dance, right? But this time, there's a curveball. Enough to make them halt the hostilities and... Look, you know what? I'll fill you in while we hit the road. The urge to flee slams into me like a freight train. There's something about his tone that almost convinces me to hightail it out of the city, but it's not quite time to make a break for it. I might stick around for a while, so... D'Angelo's visibly concerned. Should I be worried too? You're really not gonna let him go, huh? Of course not. I'll find Reynard, come hell or high water. Besides, someone has to handle detective duties since, judging by how desperately you want me to drive you out of town, damsel in distress is already taken. D'Angelo tilts his head downward just enough to fix his crooked smile. A smile abandoned by joy long ago. I know you well enough to not even bother trying to change your mind, but you have a knack for diving headfirst into trouble, so hear me out. Keep your head down. Stay off the radar. Don't feed willy-nilly. And above all, don't reveal your true nature unless you're 100% sure nobody can see you. Part appetite, part lust, and part addiction. Hunger is the drive to feed, taking the place of every other urge and pleasure. Hunger calls the vampires constantly, whispering and screaming in equal measure of its need and desire for blood. So, the Masquerade, basically. Thou shalt not reveal thy true nature to those not of the blood. Doing such shall renounce thy claims of blood. A tradition universally respected by both the Camarilla and Anarchs. Mortals must never learn of the supernatural of the kindred to survive in the modern age of technology. One sloppy feeding, one careless action caught on a live stream, or one mistimed confession to a mortal lover could spell doom for anyone involved. Look, I'm not joking, Kali. You keep low, or else... Yeah, thanks for the tip. I rise to my feet and wave goodbye as I head out the door. I'll grab you once I've found Reynard. On my own, since you've been such a big help. It takes me a while to actually notice the air around me, crisp and clear, without the ever-present stench of D'Angelo's nicotine habit. I find it's taking me longer each time to catch on. When will I reach the point where I don't notice it anymore? Reynard's silence and the total lack of hints about his whereabouts bug me way more than I'm ready to say out loud. The streets are deserted. It's like everyone vanished, scared off by the winter chill that mortals seem to hate. The darkness of the night, lit up by bursts of color, is kind of beautiful in a bleak, urban way. But my sire is gone, and I don't know what to do. Back at D'Angelo's, I was all talk, swearing that I'd track down Reynard myself or burn up trying. Pretty sure he saw right through my BS. Were I half as confident as I pretended, I wouldn't feel so utterly lost. In late December, in the big fucking dangerous Apple of all places. If D'Angelo's warnings have any weight, or maybe it's time to bulk up our supplies. Our coterie? Let's just say we're big on being ready for anything. Coterie, a small group of kindred united by the need for support and sometimes common interests, often called a crew or gang. Reynard's the mastermind behind all of our safety nets, making sure we don't even brush close to failure. His obsessive preparedness has pulled us out of the fire more than once. Wherever we're running our gigs, we've got these spots stocked up with goods and, let's call it personal protection. One of those hidden caches lies just around the block, if I remember right. It's been ages, but that's probably the first place I should hit up before I go hunting for Reynard. Better safe than in a grave, right? Oh, and we got the map. Okay, so Square 1, the RV. Sure, my RV is a fortress on wheels and all, but I better move it before it starts drawing too much attention. And if anything happens to our stash, well, I'd rather not dwell on that unless I want dodging Reynard to be my main focus instead of figuring out where he vanished. Coney Island. The rundown parking lot where I stashed my RV seems deserted enough to keep away prying eyes. I should head back to Coney Island and see if Reynard showed up while I was away. Or maybe he left one of our signature wall signs, cluing me in on what to do next. And then we got precautionary measures, detour. Survival is the game we all play, or so Reynard always preached to our gang. That's why we stashed supply caches all over. If D'Angelo's warnings hold water, grabbing some supplies might actually come in handy. I kind of agree with that, and as I normally do in RPGs, I will instantly go for a side quest before hitting anything in the main quest, so let's do that. Great. Just fucking great. Looking over the wreckage of what used to be my secret stash, I can't stop the flood of swears. Whoever the hell found it, they cleared it out completely. They didn't even have the courtesy to leave a "my bad for the raid" note. It wasn't a treasure trove or anything, just an old combat knife, a bulletless revolver, and some jewelry I was planning to pawn off for far less than what they're worth. I get why they take that stuff, but seriously, what's anyone gonna do with a cooler full of expired blood bags? Could this have been the work of one of our kind? After what D'Angelo said, it doesn't seem too far-fetched. Fuck! Whoever they are, they better hope I don't find them first. Stepping back onto the streets, the harsh reality hits me. My gear is history, and no amount of complaining is going to magically bring it back. Believe me, I tried. But then again, maybe I'm just being paranoid? D'Angelo's had a thing for urban legends and slapping conspiracy theories onto pretty much anything. Why should this time be any different? It's Christmas after all. Around these parts, looting is practically a holiday tradition. As I'm coming to terms with my situation and think about what to do next, I get that weird feeling. It's like my inner alarm system is giving me a nudge, telling me something's off. A quick look behind me confirms it. Yep, I've got followers, and not just one, but two. Finally, I'm hitting my social media milestones. My gut tells me to move faster, and I find myself darting into a barely lit alleyway, disappearing into the shadows. I press myself against the cold bricks and wait. That's when I catch it. A high-pitched voice filled with endless babble. Her words cut through the air, harsh and acidic. She's talking about me, and it's far from flattering.
It was her! The freak draped in all that drab gray! I effing told ya!
Drab gray? Who the hell does she think she is? I need to get a look at them.
Girl, we come back empty-handed for the third time, and we're fucking cooked.
Oh, fuck her and her cheap-ass forest ranger getup. The nerve to diss my look. Why are they even after me anyway? The one making all the noise is fidgeting non-stop, like a squirrel high on candy, muttering something I can't make out. It's clear planning impromptu actions isn't her strong suit. The other one seems timid, obviously wishing she was anywhere but here. I'd find the whole scene hilarious under different circumstances, but I've got a bigger fish to fry than this low-budget permanent Midnight remake. Ooh, we can scare them. We can walk away undetected. I kind of want to see this. We probably will get discovered, but I want to see what exactly they're after. Still, she might let something slip that's actually worth hearing. If hanging around Reynard has taught me anything, it's that there's no such thing as useless intel. The loud one suddenly steps in front of her buddy, shoving her aside pretty harshly.
Go look around the corner. I'll check things out here. That bitch has gotta be nearby. Buzz me on the radio if anything pops up.
With a noticeable lack of enthusiasm, the other girl drags herself away, letting out a sigh of relief, clearly glad to dodge this mess, even if just for a bit. The moment she's out of sight, the loudmouth digs into her pocket and after a moment of fumbling takes a loud snort of something. That shed some light on her jitteriness. Too bad she's now blocking my only way out of this alley. But, from what I can tell, no one's watching. Ooh, we could feed off Squeaker? But Squeaker just took a loud snort of something. I'm not exactly sure how it works in this version of ETM, but that would normally mean you would get hit with all of the pros and cons of the drug because it would be in the blood. Let's go ahead and wait for her to clear out. Going head-to-head with her seems hardly worth it, even though everything inside me is shouting to do just that. Reining in that urge is no small feat. That drive has been a part of me, way before Reynard turned me into a Ravnos. So I hang back, waiting just long enough for her to tire of waiting around. Maybe the buzz carried her off to some other distraction. Regardless, she finally takes off, and I've got the green light to slip away. Damn. Turns out D'Angelo wasn't just blowing smoke up my ass. Still, I've got places to be, things to handle. I just hope this didn't eat up too much time. Finding Reynard remains a top priority. I go back to Coney Island and see if he turned up while I was gone. The possibility of berating him for thoughtlessness cracks me up, if only a little. And yeah, I've got to move the RV before it draws too much attention, before some busybody develops an unwanted interest in it. But there's no point in driving it to Coney Island when I can take the subway, so what to do first? I think we handled that pretty well. I'm wondering if we grab the RV, if that causes too much time, and we don't find out anything about Reynard. So let's go to Coney Island next. You think the subway at 3 a.m. on Christmas night would be a tranquil haven, right? Nope. Think again. It's not exactly a morning rush, but there's still a bunch of people around. Most of them zoned out, clearly buzzed from booze, drugs, or just plain old tiredness. The blood slowly coursing through their veins just beneath the surface of their skin tempts me in ways I cannot describe. I force myself to look away. Not for the dregs of my own mortality, nor because I feel any grand respect for them. It's simpler than that. Too many eyes. Too much risk. My crew's unspoken creed. I get off at Coney Island, quickly heading back to the Wonder Wheel, scanning for Reynard's unmistakably flamboyant red overcoat he somehow manages to pull off. No such luck. But maybe he's back at our usual spot. Or perhaps he swung by while I was out and left one of our wall signs. Instead, What greets me is an unsettling number of shady figures prowling around. 3 to be exact, all on edge, looking like they're on some sort of patrol. If they're kindred, they're probably Camarilla, considering this is their territory. It's not that I have an issue with them. Okay, I do, but let's not get into that right now. I'm just not up for socializing. 1 kindred run-in per night is already pushing my limits. The Camarilla, or Camarilla, a highly organized and influential vampire sect devoted primarily to maintaining the Masquerade, shielding their existence from the living while enabling elder vampires to maintain control over mortal affairs. Cloak of Shadows, hide in plain sight, or Silence of Death. They won't hear me walking away. Silence of Death, that's actually like Quietus, which was an Assamite ability. I'd like to hide in plain sight because I want to see what exactly they're doing. Hunger increases. Great. I let go of myself. The meat, veins, bones of my suit. The wind wrapping around me like the warm hug of a mother welcoming her child home. And I become one with the air. The curious glances of those passing by slip off me as if I were never there. As soon as they vanish into the night, I reappear in plain sight and quickly head toward the Wonder Wheel. Reynard isn't there to greet me, and a quick look around yields no wall signs either. I turn on my heel, disappointed, and lock eyes with one of the prowlers I so skillfully dodged. Their gaze is steady, piercing, downright eerie. With no option left, I put on my best conwoman face and give them a nonchalant nod before walking away with all the confidence I can muster. Big mistake, it turns out. The prowler lurches forward, chasing after me as I break into a run. I've been to this amusement park many times before, so I know it like the back of my hand. I duck and weave through the rides and booths, shaking off my pursuer with ease. I have to leave. Coney Island, maybe even New York, just as D'Angelo warned. The city's become a no-go zone for kindred. Or at least for me. I'm almost at the entrance to the subway when I notice her. Actually, scratch that. It's my skin that reacts first. Every hair standing on end as if electrocuted. An alarm blares in my head, screaming danger. Only then do I see her stepping smoothly out of the shadows, gait relaxed and yet somehow predatory. Enjoy the ride, sugar? Oh, she was from one of the previous games. I don't remember what voice I gave her. I have no idea who she is, and I'm normally spot on at identifying those who prefer me finally dead. It's handy in my line of business. Sorry, we're closed for the night. Guess Yelp forgot to mention that they don't serve the night owl crowd here. She doesn't even blink at my quip and just keeps inching closer. I feel an urge to step back, but a quick side eye informs me that the prowlers have returned and are standing right behind me. You know what? Let me see what voice I gave her. 1 second. Okay, if this is who I think it is, we are in trouble. I'm afraid you're going to have to come with me. I was raised better than that. Sorry, no can do, sugar. Dad always said not to go off with strangers. Her smile stretches wider, but it's devoid of any real humor or warmth. She's only steps away now, and I'm effectively trapped. Well, this stranger isn't giving you too many options, doll. I am Valerie Duvall, the Scourge of New York. An executor, subordinated directly to the sheriff with a penchant for eliminating caitiffs and thin bloods. The council issued an arrest warrant in your name since they've taken interest in your unusual endeavors. Made up of representatives typically from major clans and key factions of the domain, its members might include clan elders, those in control of the largest hunting grounds, or individuals who have curried favor with the prince. They communicate directly with the prince, offering their counsel, the good old primogen or primogen. With those recent business meetings, you've left a trail of breadcrumbs too scrumptious not to follow. The fuck? We barely had time to look around New York, let alone meet up with anyone. Now you can either accompany me without a fuss, or, well, let's just leave it at the first option. It's decidedly in your best interest. She gestures to one of the prowlers behind me. Her henchman, I guess, who brandishes a hefty, sharpened stake. My throat tightens involuntarily. What the fuck does the council want with me? Our crew's business isn't all that against their precious traditions, is it? 6 ancient traditions create the framework for governance among Camarilla kindred. Though, while they are open to interpretation in each domain, some are more important than others, they are known to all those kindred. The Masquerade, the Domain, the Progeny, the Accounting, Hospitality, and Destruction. I am not without reason, darling. Your move? Thanks for the fake choice. Oh, it's my move, ain't it? Because from my viewpoint, all roads seem to end at the tip of that stake. Said tip jabs painfully against my back, right where my heart would be beating madly if it wasn't all shriveled up. Case in point. The council will undoubtedly release you, following a meticulous inquiry, of course. This is your final chance. Alright, Jesus, I'll fucking go with you. Valerie tosses me a so-called smile, the sort that could turn the sun into ice. Good girl. Now come. The council is waiting. Judgment at the Elysium. Okay, guys, well, we are already in the thick of it, aren't we? So, I guess we will begin our trial in the next episode. Hope y'all have enjoyed it. If you liked the episode, please leave a like down below. Subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, that'd be a big help. I will see you next time. Later days, everyone.